Are you looking for new music from 2022 that you want to listen to help you get a good feel for music that's coming out within the year? Check out my playlist down in the description below. 2022 is on fire, where I feature my personal favorite tracks from the albums I've listened to throughout the year, whether I've reviewed it already, only written a review, or I just listen to it casually. Check it out when you have the time. I'd really appreciate the support, and you might even find a band or an artist that you didn't know previously that might be a new favorite. Without further ado, let's get into the video. This album has me more disoriented than the Poor Bastard in the Pigskin music video. What the fuck is going on here? Welcome to Everyone Who Does Music, where today we're checking out the debut solo album from Hollywood Undead member Charlie Scene called The Outsider. Once again, we got a different camera view here because my arm hurts and it hurts to even just lift it or stand up, so I have it kind of propped up, on the arm of my chair, so that's why we got the different angle going on here. It's not permanent, especially with this hairline. It's just what it is for now. I remember back in like 2011 or so going on YouTube and looking to see if any of the Hollywood Undead members had solo projects. I of course found Deuce with 9 Lives. I found the songs Kisses with Kings, I believe, that featured Johnny Three Tears, and I also found a couple solo songs from Charlie Scene, which, come to find out now, are actually from a band called Upright Radio, which I had no idea was a thing. These old songs, of course, being called Time Again, and hearing this album initially had me thinking to myself that an eventual pure rock, kind of country-esque solo outing similar to the sort of sound found in Time Again would be what his eventual album would be, and it had me pretty excited back in 2011. Fun fact, they also had another song called All In, which I didn't discover until while I was writing this review here. Where the fuck is Upright Radio? They like disappeared. Like, here, look at this old-ass picture of Upright Radio. Fetus Charlie Scene, minus the bandana. Look at that shit. Either way, I wanted to hear solo stuff from all of the Hollywood Undead members, so when I heard that we were going to get solid, dedicated solo music from Charlie, I was excited. I stayed away from any of the pre-release singles, wanting to experience the album in full when it came out, and what I got was... it was definitely experience. I wish this was alcohol. It was definitely... Straight up, this album feels like a bits and pieces compilation. There's 20 different moving parts made from different build guides. Some of the songs in this album sound like Hollywood Undead B-sides, which is fine. And other songs purely sound like a Charlie Scene-centric creation. Others are just kind of here. There's so many different levels of quality that you get so caught off guard, and not in a good way of like, oh, okay, this is different. More of a case of like, hey, whoa, I'm getting whiplash. In relation to that, this feels like 2 separate EPs with different vibes were thrown together in a mishmash kind of way to create music, enough music at least, for a full album release. Straight out of the gate, you get the song Kingdom, which sounds like a fully produced and band-backed up song from his usual venture, Hollywood Undead, from the vocals to the instruments behind them, and that's about what I expected him to open up the album with, something that sounds similar to what you're already famous for, what you're already known for, something to kind of reel in those fans and bring them into the new experience. That makes sense. A song with similar vibes to his main project to create a bridge between his old venture and new venture, that's fine, and the song itself is alright to a point, just nothing incredibly unique in the sense that it's just another addition to the pile of songs that just go, this is my rise, this is my power, it's about drive, it's about power. Types of songs that are all grandstanding and asking someone to fuck around and find out, but they fuck around and you just find out that you listened to the same song that you heard 5 minutes ago. The next song in, Can't Break Me Down, sheds a few of those elements from more synth and electronic influence track in what I'd assume is an effort to create a firmer foundation for the album, and it features a rather enjoyable chorus with some nice stuttering effects as well. I mean, 2 songs in, and for the most part, it's what I expected. Little of the old, little of the new, but this is unfortunately where everything starts to fall apart. I'm still trying to figure out just how much of a joke track the song Lil Tim McGraw is supposed to be, like if it's a joke track at all, or if this is genuinely Charlie Scene just making a pure song, because this feels like a joke kind of song, like a song with similar kind of, hey, fuck it, let's have some fun vibes, like the aforementioned Pigskin, like Everywhere I Go, like Coming In Hot. But there's also a part of me that thinks to myself, oh fuck, is he being serious? Considering the song has his usual fast-talking flow and croon that he's employed in past party time songs, let's just look at the fact that the lyrics themselves are nothing really special. Pretty much just a less impressive version of what he does in songs like, again, Everywhere I Go, Coming In Hot. The big difference here is between those songs and this, though, is while those songs and similar tracks felt alive with some kind of energy, this feels like a soulless attempt at the same vibe with lyrics that make me genuinely cringe. Like, there was a few times listening to this album for the first time, I had to physically pause the music, step away. I was looking at my roommate, she was in the room at the time, and I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking do this album, dude. Even when I try to look at it from the headspace of someone who would enjoy this type of thing in 2022, I just couldn't do it. And I hate saying things like that, but a song like this in 2022 feels like a raw, uncooked attempt at capturing the same kind of fire in a bottle as songs like the ones I mentioned had, except this time there's no flavor, there's no sense of originality. It's just, oh, okay, you're trying to do what you did before. Alright, but there's not really a lot of effort, so it feels like you just copy and pasted this into a songwriting machine and then reworded some things. From here, we get sort of a dive back into the pseudo-HU sound he establishes with the first two songs, and by the time I reached the end of Save Me for myself, I had to take a break and a breather to consider where I was at with the album. To me, and this isn't the case with every solo album, but to me, I look at a solo album from somebody who's been in a band and has released, I think, 7 albums now with Hollywood Undead. I look at somebody who's now doing a solo album thinking to myself, alright, this is going to be something like pretty decently different, or at least just a different version of what's already been done. It's going to be a solid, focused effort because they've had this much time to focus on that sound. They know how to polish the sound and make it sound good on a different release, hopefully. Overall, you're trying to create an experience that feels separate from what you did in the other place, whether it's more of your own individual elements you bring to a band, or a wholly different sound altogether. And so far, it's been a throwaway faux country rock song, some HU B-sides, and only one song that truly feels like Charlie Scene on its own. I keep bringing up the Hollywood Undead comparisons, and I know that's gotta be annoying for a lot of people. Fuck, it's annoying for me. And I know it's gonna be getting tiring, but that comparison is the biggest talking point on this album, especially considering what the final product is. Save Me For Myself is a song that finally establishes some kind of self-identity, with an interesting addition of some kind of horn instrument along with switches and vocal delivery here. It feels like Charlie Scene, if he wrote this album from track 1 to the last track, like literally piece by piece by piece, this would be the point where it kind of sits there. It's like, oh, I gotta do something a little different, throw a little bit of spice in the things. But the fact that it took 7 songs into a solo outing to get a song that felt like it was worth going down a solo road journey for, it's kind of a letdown. Then you get songs Pray For Me and The Ghost, which are 2 songs that sound equally the same. Just again, feels like you took the words of one song and threw it into a generator, switched the words around and made another song from it. I gotta say, at least separate those by a track or 2, but putting them right against each other feels like part 1 and part 2, but they're not, which is a bad way to put the album together. The songs are basic, doing just enough to sound sort of alright, but nothing special. I usually don't pick apart every single song on a full album release like this, but the state of this album feels like it requires at least a brief mention of every single song. Continuing from what I was just discussing, we get 2 more songs before we leave the album, In the Mouth of Madness and The Outsider. The Mouth of Madness is a great example of how to not execute switch-ups in a song. The chorus is very slow, very boring, fake, thought-heavy set of lines meant to evoke a sense of thoughtfulness, while verses are just more of the same, fuck you, I'm on top, I'm going through shit though. That's all it is, it's that side of his lyricism. Which, you can do that well, you can do that over and over and have it done well, but 9 times out of 10, I love bringing up this comparison, the skillet effect takes place. Feels like you're rising up against a force that there's no real force, and you're just rising up for the sake of it and saying, look at me go. Once you drag yourself through this, you get only the 3rd good song on the album, the title track. This song finally captures the overall energy that I feel like Charlie wanted to establish with this album, singing about being an outsider, not belonging, and asking the world hard questions like, what do you want me to be? I'm at war with myself. What the fuck do you want from me? I'll tell you what I want from you, Charlie. A solo album that actually seems like you gave a fuck. Even the typical angry dog moments like in the last full verse feel worth singing about, with the song's sudden step up and core ideas being followed up on with worthwhile energy. I'm so confused here. Charlie, what the fuck? Despite what some people say about his cornier moments, he's a talented lyricist to a certain point. He's done well, and he continues to do well even on newer albums like New Empire, Volume 1 and 2. So how did we end up with this absolute drag of an album, dude? For every time I thought the album was redeeming itself, I was met with disappointment and more of the very, very mediocre sameness. And for that reason, and the reasons I've listed above, The Outsider by Charlie Scene gets a 5.3 out of 10, and that's what I think of the album. What do you guys think about this album? Down in the comment section. Well, let's get a conversation going. What's another Hollywood Undead solo project that you listen to? Personally, I'm still waiting on the Curls to fucking do something. Maddie, my guy, please do something. Please! I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Stay hydrated. See ya.